SHRM-CP question of the day lives in the organization domain under workforce management. It tests one single principle, a principle that 3 of the 4 options ignore completely. The principle is this: you don't own it yet. Here's the scenario. During pre-merger due diligence for a 200-employee software firm, a compliance audit reveals something worrying. 50 workers classified as independent contractors, but they use company equipment. They follow set schedules. They report to internal managers. What is the buyer's primary due diligence action before closing? Option A: reclassify the affected workers as statutory employees immediately. Option B: report the misclassification finding directly to the Department of Labor. Option C: calculate potential back pay and tax penalties to adjust the purchase price. Option D: terminate the independent contractor agreements prior to the transaction close. Pause here. Pick your answer. Ready? 3 of these options assume authority the buyer does not have yet. Only one is legally available before closing. The correct answer is option C. Calculate the back pay and tax penalties. Adjust the purchase price. The scenario hands you a simple test. What legal authority does the buyer actually have before the deal closes? The scenario hands you 3 classic misclassification markers from the IRS 20-factor test. Company equipment. Factor 18. Independent contractors supply their own tools. Employees do not. Set schedules. Factor 11. Independent contractors set their own hours. Employees do not. Reports to internal managers. Factor 15. Regular reporting indicates employment, not a contractor engagement. 3 markers. 20-factor test, all pointing the same way. This is not a close case. So what can the buyer actually do? Pre-close, the buyer can quantify the financial exposure, negotiate a purchase price reduction, require escrow for post-close remediation, add indemnification clauses to the deal. That is the full scope of pre-close authority. What the buyer cannot do: reclassify workers, terminate vendor agreements, report the target to the DOL, implement new HR policies. Every one of those requires operational ownership. Ownership the buyer does not have. Not yet. Here's why quantifying matters. Unpaid employer Social Security and Medicare, 7.65% of wages, federal unemployment tax, state unemployment tax, back overtime under FLSA, denied benefits, interest, civil penalties on top. The statute of limitations reaches back 3 years. For 50 workers over 3 years, the exposure runs into the millions of dollars. This is not a rounding error. Now, why the other 3 options fail? Option A: reclassify immediately. The buyer has no operational control over the target. Any reclassification pre-close exceeds the buyer's legal authority. You don't own it yet. Option B: report to the DOL. The buyer has no standing to report a third party's alleged violations. It also violates the non-disclosure agreements that govern M&A. Reporting would kill the deal, the relationship, and any chance to price the risk in. You don't own it yet. Option D: terminate the contractor agreements. Those agreements belong to the target, not the buyer. Termination would be legally ineffective and deeply inappropriate during due diligence. You don't own it yet. The pattern for every M&A question. Pre-close, the buyer's only authority is financial. Pricing, indemnification, escrow, walkaway rights. Everything else waits for the deal to close. Want to pass SHRM-CP the first time? Prep Solution gives you 1,500 practice questions.